Today's matchup. Afreeca Freecs. SK Telecom T1. The Fantastic Run.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to LCK Summer 2018. We have one best of three in the books, but don't worry, guys. We've still got two more to go. I'm still Atlas. This is still Papa Smithy. We're still wearing clothes from Dame Edna Everidge or Elton John, someone, but they're hella comfy, and I'm glad about that because we could be here a long time tonight, Papa.
And remember, if we finish late, the club beckons Atlas.
Oh,
we are ready to go. Smart Cash, ready to go.
Smart Cash. Would you call this Smart Cash?
That's what I would have to do, yes. Prepared by wardrobe, for just for us.
I feel like, no. This is still smart because we've got the bling aspect of it means that you can wear a T-shirt, making us very comfortable.
That's true.
But still very stylish.
So what you're saying is functional.
Yeah,
and
precisely.
Stylish.
But now, guys, we've got Afreeca Freecs taking on SK Telecom. We are going to go through the overview one more time. And as you can see, you win a heck of a lot of money for winning the LCK. And the format has not changed whatsoever. It's still going to be best of threes with the wildcard best of three and the playoff as best of fives. And the teams have changed just a little bit. We went over it in the last series, but we'll do it again as Griffin has made their way in. We've got some name changes, KSV turning to Gen G, and Rocks Tigers now Hanwha Life Esports. But otherwise, everything is as you know and love.
But otherwise, everything has changed also in the real video games, Atlas.
Well, in the real video game, yes, everything is completely
the game
ridiculous.
of life, and thus
in the
game
rankings, because MVP is now clear first.
And Kingzone, they're yesterday's news.
Yesterday's news, indeed. I'm now a Gen G fan, as their last two games were beautiful. If you guys missed the first series, yep, looks like Kingzone were going to do it again, and then they definitely didn't.
Well, we're back on the screen.
Yeah, we're not going to be looking at that
That's an event just for the Korean fans.
Yeah.
Exclusive, sadly.
It's
you
sad.
get more Papa Smithy analysis.
It's really sad because we got the whole thing in the last series. This time around, you guys glimpsed it for a second. If you guys, if you can read Korean, go ahead, go over to the Korean Facebook page.
But also maybe
do some stuff.
Maybe also forget because you have to be in Korea as well. And theoretically, you'd be watching the Korean broadcast. And I'm sure there are a couple of holdouts, but they got Cloud Templar. He's pretty popular over there.
He is pretty popular over there.
But we got some popular players in this series because guess what? FLICKR's back finally. SKT, they struggled last year. They never got a break. Well, it was a sad way they got the break this time. They got a very extended break. They haven't played in a long time, Atlas. They didn't change the roster, which surprised a lot of people. Same 10 players. Will the result be different in summer?
Yeah, and look, it's always the roster question mark with SKT as well. But speaking of rosters, let's look over the side
That's a lot of
the
people.
Afreeca Freecs. Look, they could field almost any combination right now, but it is going to be Keen back on the top side of the map. No Mowgli. This time is it Spirit. Kuro going to be back in that mid lane, and Aiming makes his triumphant return with Tucson there on the bottom side of the map. Tucson, remember, phenomenal season in spring, almost picking up that MVP top spot.
And if you missed the middle part of spring season, before Aiming was taken off the roster, it looked like Aiming and Tucson would be there at bot lane going forward, of course, because of off-the-field issues. He was removed from the roster for consideration for spring. Summer comes back, notably Rascal, who was involved in the same scandal, is not on the roster of Kingzone. However, they have once again elevated Aiming to the roster and the starting roster for this particular game in solo queue, playing a lot of the Juggernauts and some of the more creative picks. Will it be the Marksman that actually made a triumphant return in our first series today, or will it be the Yasuo, etc. of the world in this game?
Well, I feel like if the Marksmen are going to be played, it's going to be on the other side of the rift, because if you have a look at, ranked in the most that he's played, it's been Aatrox, Darius, Zoe, Yasuo, crazy things. But let's check out what the starting roster is going to be for SK Telecom T1. Yes, the team that has so many fans, but not quite the results. It's going to be Tal back on the top side, and Blank, Faker, Bang, and Wolf will round out the roster. highest amount of experience in the last 4 players, but it's not going to be on Tara. It's going to be Tile on the top side.
And the fans made it clear, give us a new jungler, give us a new top laner. Nothing has changed, but Tal by the end of the season had won a lot of people over. I think he will be the pretty clear starter as Untara has fallen out of favor. The jungle position, no one is convinced by Blank or Blossom just yet. But Blank has had some good times in solo queue in the past. He's hoping that with a real off-season for all these players, they can start with the right foot forward to begin the season. And if they can beat Afreeca, an opponent who holds historically a winning record over SKT, something no other squad in Korea has ever held historically, maybe that'd be a good starting point for SKT.
Well, you can see Bang was certainly the one who was able to get things done as far as KDA was concerned, turning us into a bit of a tennis racket over here, but Aiming only had 7 games. Yes, it's a 6.1 KDA, looks okay, but remember Kramer, he was on about a 7.8 at the end of the season for the Afreeca Freecs, so he was no slouch, and I find it quite interesting that we're seeing Aiming take the first slot here today.
If you'd asked me to separate Aiming and Kramer, I would say that Aiming's a better laner. Kramer's more of a defensive laner, honestly something you could say about Bang, but Aiming could be decisive, a bit more clean with the mechanics. Decision-making into the late game, he's still a young player, he's still developing that side of his game, but it felt like Afreeca needed Aiming. When they didn't have that option at the end of the season, they did peter out, could not beat Kingzone in the final. Afreeca have always held a winning record as an org, and that's through multiple different rosters. No longer is Mara in there. Of course, the team that is largely Hanwha Life Esports also came through the doors of Afreeca Freecs once Rebels Anarchy come into here. We're going to highlight one of the most classic matchups, perhaps the mid lane classic matchup in the history of the LCK, not necessarily champions. From 2015 onwards, it's always been the story of Kuro and friends versus FLICKR and friends.
Yeah, exactly right. But the story was changed just a little bit in the last season because Kuro was coming out of his shell. He wasn't that utility-based mid laner that we have spoken about so many more times when he's up against FLICKR. He was able to bring it to the mid lane opponents in the 1v1 as well.
And also rewrite kind of down points for him. As Azir came back and was something that was big in spring. That's gone for now. Don't even think about that. But Kuro has, like you say, he's kind of had the wood on FLICKR this year. He's definitely had the better performances when the two teams have met. Where are the fans at? They want to see their favorites win. 6,177 diehards want to see SKT win. Remember, this is the second place team. And if you think about spring, I would have Afreeca in the top bunch and SKT in the middle bunch. Afreeca was certainly a much stronger squad in spring than SKT.
Yeah, remember SKT were able to take down then KSV, now Gen G in the playoffs, but that was a result that we weren't quite expecting to propel SKT towards a finish that we may not have expected. But according to the Afreeca Freecs, we will try to grab every opportunity possible, and I don't think much more says an homage to Afreeca Freecs than that line.
Coach Choi Yeon-sung, or I Love Uv, the famous StarCraft 1 Bonjour Brood War player, is the one giving that particular interview. We know who the head coach is now. No longer lies. It's Him Jong-yeon. It is, of course, Koma saying every match matters. Try our best to not let anyone down.
Oh, and that really is sort of the statement of the last little while for SKT. It's letting fans down, letting people down. It has been a big problem for this squad, missing their first MSI, giving themselves their first real break in the off-season, mid-season, is actually something that SKT haven't really felt. And now we get to see what the result is from having a bit of time to practice.
Real spicy best of 3. First match of the season. Long breaks for Afreeca since the final, and SKT since the second round of the playoffs. AR once again is how we're bringing you Champion Select this season. We're still on kind of a series-by-series meta. There is no agreement at all on what's good and what's not. I feel like Camille and Talia, perhaps some of the inarguable ones. So far, the Talia ban from SKT.
Yeah, the Talia ban. An understandable one, too, as Taric is going to be banned away immediately by SKT. They want none of your Yi shenanigans.
I mean, it's Spirit, right? And Spirit is the mad scientist of the jungle. Second blind pickable mid laner banned away. To see the Aurelia taken out.
I believe she's been banned almost every single time, if memory serves, so far today. As she has, in fact, in the first round. So what is after the Taric? It's going to be the Karthus. So the Karthus Nunu and the Taric Yi cheese has been taken off the board. Koma says, no, I want to play standard League of Legends. We will have none of your weirdness.
I mean, it's pretty weird to see a first pick Shen, I gotta say. I wonder if Shen Nocturne is dominating scrims, because that's been a duo that we've seen together very many times already this season. But Alistar left open, and now suddenly, some of those bruisers bot lane get an extra consideration when you see an Alistar.
Yeah. The Ezreal band away means that Lucian's still available as well, but you wouldn't necessarily see an Alistar and say, oh, let's put Lucian in that lane. It doesn't make you feel fantastic. So the Yasuo could certainly be the option. This is the most played for Bang, but also FLICKR has apparently been carrying the qualifiers for the Asia Games on the champion.
Saw the Nocturne hover, and now the Nocturne is going to be at least considered. See what the decision is here from Afreeca Freecs on the blue side. As Alistar Yasuo is a complete duo, it's also eminently counter-pickable. So I think the Yasuo mid and Alistar with something else is actually where SKT will get to. But I like the mind games, and Spirit was the Nocturne one trick at the end of spring when we were behind in patches. Remember, Nocturne was buffed on live, but not actually on the tournament realm in spring. So we never saw Spirit's Nocturne, which is something that caused a lot of fear. Now we see the Vladimir. Vladimir is considered a blocker pick to Yasuo bot lane, because if you see a 2v2 and the carry role is Vladimir versus Yasuo, Yasuo heavily loses that lane. Something like a Vladimir Soraka runs all over Alistar Yasuo.
But the flex is just all over the place.
How about some more
Papa.
flex?
And yeah, there's the Darius, and FLICKR is, I believe, 6-0 or something on Darius at the moment in solo queue. The guy has one hell of a record on mid Darius.
It's actually a three-way flex on both sides.
Yeah.
For the Yasuo and the Darius can go into the marksman, or I guess I would call it the bot role, the mid role, and the top role. Whereas on the side of Afreeca, you know, it's probably Nocturne jungle, and yet we've seen stranger things. So it's weird that these are all flex picks outside of the Alistar, but that's where we're at.
And we've got, you got flexes sort of everywhere on Afreeca as well. You still don't really know where anyone's going in a guaranteed sense. That's why my page here taking down the picks, I've left everything blank for the moment. Seems to be how you have to do it. But Camille made it all the way through the first round of bans and is now going to be taken away in the second round. Somehow, Afreeca and SKT couldn't fit that one into their plan, which I think is almost an oversight. Zoe as well, a huge pick at the moment, and is now going to be taken away.
And the Shen priority, to me, is the biggest surprise in terms of where picks were taken. That's a really high priority on the Shen that isn't really understood. I guess a lot of fighting and an extra global ultimate is useful, but for that priority, a surprise. Does feel like the ban order, the pick order, is really all over the place, series upon series. Could still see an Ornn considered for SKT. There's a very safe champion. But Tal was on the Cassiopeia top, and the carries for the majority. Darius has been played in solo queue by Tal, FLICKR, and Bang. No jungler selected by SKT in the first round. The two further jungle bans. Camille mostly a jungler, and Xinjia, of course, a jungler on this particular meta. It's going to be a Scar and a lock-in, which we have to admit didn't work out for Ambition.
No, it certainly didn't. Blank as well. I mean, this is his time to really make his mark back. I mean, you can only wipe the slate clean for about the first couple of games before you start to let all of your inhibitions that you had towards Blank come back again, and that's going to be the Aatrox locked in for Afreeca. And who's it going to, Papa Smithy?
You were, of course, the one talking about aiming, playing it in solo queue. Anything's possible in this meta. Pike available. That would be a support pick. Support will be selected here, so will not be a Shen support. That's going to be a LeBlanc. All right. Now we're definitely at Yakety Sax territory on the side of the Afreeca Freecs. Maybe that's the true
This is when you're
subtitle.
in solo queue and you're like, but where is everyone going?
No, this is where you're like, don't worry, guys. You can go to the bathroom. They're going to dodge.
Well, Lulu now being considered to round out SKT's lineup. Where that is going to be going is certainly a big question, and if it is going to be locked in, and it is. So, means Darius top, we've got Lulu for FLICKR in the mid lane, historically, certainly something he's had a lot of success on, unless Bang is going to be playing that bottom lane.
So Kuro is almost certainly going to be on the LeBlanc. Very strong mid lane pick. A lot of things can be considered against LeBlanc in this particular round. They're actually very flexible when it comes to the picks here. It seems like Alistar and the Yasuo will be cemented on, but I've seen Bang dealing with Gorilla and struggling into the Vladimir in particular. Now the Shen, not going to be overwhelming in terms of lane presence. The Vladimir does very well.
So
the swap does happen.
Swap.
Nice to see. So they do swap it out. Lulu going to be much more comfortable in the 2v2 laning phase. And FLICKR's Yasuo, who the whispers say had some carry performances over at the Asia Games qualifiers, will be taken into the LeBlanc. Yasuo can pull off some slick moves in this matchup.
Oh yeah, and that is so sneaky from SKT. We always sing the praises of Koma and what he can create in a draft phase, but this is real sneaky, and now we get the FLICKR Yasuo and an adorable Lulu lane on the bottom side.
And you dodge the Vladimir versus Yasuo matchup that I saw Bang wincing in pain over in solo queue, so that shouldn't be a big surprise, and yet you never know. Someone has to take it badly. In every champ select, when there's so many flex picks, not everyone can get the winning matchup.
Yep, it's absolutely exciting though, and I'm looking forward to seeing what this mid lane is going to offer us between Kuro and FLICKR. Ladies and gentlemen, SKT versus the Afreeca Freecs. Oftentimes, Afreeca Freecs has SKT's number, but can they make a good debut? We'll find out right now. Oof, there are so many SKT fans in the audience here at the Soli Stadium. Every one of them looking on with anticipation for what could happen, but we don't really know what it is. No Teemos this time around, unfortunately, though.
So Marin playing it in solo queue and dumpstering a Mundo with AP Teemo, so maybe TOP Gaming can get some
nice
Teemo onto the competitive scene. I like the matchup we're seeing in top. We've seen Darius kind of counter a lot of top lane bruisers. Definitely a lot of champions wince at the sight of a Darius. Consider that if you're someone like Keen, you're going to go damage. You're going to dive into the Darius, and the dunk doesn't necessarily represent a kill. It's only a passive coming up again. So there's a lot of things going on here. Very interesting to see Conqueror Aatrox versus Conqueror Darius. Of course, the moment that Aatrox has a rework announced, we have, what, 3 weeks of competitive Aatrox, actually with the old form being back in the meta. Was completely absent since the days of Freddy 122 and the jungle Aatroxes in Season 2.
Yep.
Was it Season 3? Maybe 3? It's been a while.
Yeah, it has most certainly been a while. But Aatrox has been performing very, very well as well internationally, most certainly. So we are going to check out the room page if you guys were considering playing it at home.
He takes last stand. Not a lot of people, of course, do, but Karthus, Aatrox, those champions where death is not necessarily the end of their onslaught. They do consider the last stand. Duke playing a lot of the Aatrox top for Invictus Gaming. Of course, old SKT Luminary is Duke, so that's been a big favorite for him. A lot of different build options, quite a lot of different viable ways to go. You see Titanic Hydra, Rageblade is good on the Aatrox as well. A lot of different ways you can go. As Tal hits level 2, and now the pain does start.
Yeah, and Keen has to move all the way away from that minion wave, and that passive damage is going to do a hell of a lot of work.
And it's really scary to see the Conqueror active, also the full bleed effect active, so much glowing on the top side when Darius gets going. Speaking of getting going, while we do like the Vladimir into the Yasuo, the Lulu has a lot more lane presence, and it feels like Alistair also does. So it feels like 2v2. A lot to like about Bang & Wolf in this particular duo lane. Yasuo has periods of all-in potential onto a LeBlanc, and at least for the early phase, I'll take the Darius. So seems like Blank kind of has a wealth of options here, as you know that Spirit's going to be largely about the farm.
Yeah, and I feel like Blank as well wants to get to that level 6. Of course, has a few more options as far as ganking early on, but both of these junglers are probably in a similar mindset, and SKT are going to be feeling much better about it because, like you say, the cheeky swap as well as the top lane working out really nicely for the Darius early on should be lane priority across the board here for the fan favorites.
A lot of respect shown by FLICKR. Look at his choice of rune. He's actually going for the most shielding you can get, going for the barrier in the 1v1 matchup. No exhaust that you would take against the AD matchup. He's going for something that allows him to extend what can be some very one-sided trains against the ranged opposition in the LeBlanc.
We'll see what he's going to do build-wise, whether it's going to be early Hex Drinker or something like that, or whether he's going to rely on Merc Treads to just keep him alive and rush towards his crit item of choice to start things off, most likely the Phantom Dancer.
Build path for Bang, also a bit up in the air when we did see the Lulu in the marksman or bot lane role yesterday. Was at that time just about a Master Yi comp, so could just go full ability power with a Rod of Aegis Rush. Many different ways you can approach the build path on the Lulu, so we'll check in when we see something.
Yep. FLICKR taking a bit of a rough trade there from Kuro, but range advantage here for the LeBlanc means that FLICKR has to be a little bit careful. Going for the Doran's Blade start here means that not a lot of potions to keep him alive, but not a lot of other options really for the Yasuo.
Does have kind of 2v2 priority with the Skarner, so maybe the battle stats and then just an early shot to circumvent, like you mentioned, some sustain disadvantages. Every time Spire is picked up, there is information that, given that everyone else is in lane, the Skarner was topside. We do see Blank scurry to the bot side of the map.
Fair bit of safety here for FLICKR in the mid lane as that wave is crashing forward. It's actually going to be doing some damage here to Kuro as Spirit takes away the Rift Scuttler. Tal underneath his turret. Going to be more than fine clearing out minions, but we'll see what Keen is going to do. You can see just getting some vision down and a nice double knock up here from Wolf on the bottom side. Tucson, he's lit on fire. You shouldn't fall down here. Does have that potion running. It's a very early ignite. That means that the Shen is well and truly out of this lane with no flash now.
And we knew we liked the Lulu Alistar in the 2v2, but Tucson again showing the susceptibility of the Shen. We saw top lane Shen work a treat for Griffin when they faced off with the Nocturne in their match yesterday against Humble Life Esports. It's just about having that ult to allow the Nocturne a bit more oomph when he goes for the engage and potentially follow up CC from a taunt. But then you're left with lane support Shen. And we learned anything over the course of spring season. The moment after Shock was nerfed, the laning phase for the Shen is anything but triumphant.
Yeah, it just feels very lackluster as Kane throws down the ultimate. The apprehend lands here from Tal, though, as Kane realizes that one more auto, and that means that that passive is fully stacked. He has to get the hell out of there.
It's interesting to see battles. Very new lane. I don't think I've ever cast a game of Aatrox versus Darius.
Yeah, neither have I, actually.
And we've been casting for a while, as we cast a lot of interesting LPL comps in 2015 also.
And OPL comps.
That's true.
They play some ridiculous
stuff. If it's not played in Straya or China, then it's just not being played, you know?
Exactly. Mustn't be. Maybe we need to go to Turkey or Brazil, Papa.
I just need to see some teamfight Yasuo from FLICKR. His Yasuo has been a treat so many times in the past, but it's been a while. Definitely a hot minute for... That is... All right, result.
Paranoia for the 1v1. The flash comes out of Blank and Spirit. Yeah, that's the message received to the jungler of SKT. It's FLICKR. He's going to make his way up. Spirit just hops on the spot with the blast cone. I wasn't even sure you could even do that.
Yeah,
he does it.
FLICKR tried to deny it, but it was just that one single angle where you don't get really any true displacement. So FLICKR not able to keep him around. Was feeling like a chase down was possible with just the Zerkers. Bot lane's been a world of pain for the side of Afreeca.
Yep, Spirit's Refuge doesn't offer anything against the cow and the little witch lady. Really not too worried about landing auto attacks when you can just glitter lance him in the face. But still, it's just pushing here for SKT.
With the bot lane being craziness, you just kind of have to import things from other lanes. Kuro takes the worst end of a trade in this particular 1v1, always action-packed. Remember, Spirit doesn't have his ultimate. Again, when you're thinking about bot lane, it's, maybe I have to hold the points, but it's trying to babysit against a Yasuo, which is very tricky to do.
Well, there's the Mimic Distortion, but he doesn't land the chain, does Kuro. Just going to be able to clear out this wave with a little bit less pressure being offered by FLICKR, but you could see really happy to take a lot of these trades, going aggressive in the mid lane over and over again is the Yasuo now that he's hit level 7.
Spirit's been able to monopolize the Rift Herald. So the Rift Scuttler spawns in this game. That's why he is already happily to level 7 himself. Not a lot of turret damage yet done by Bang and Wolf to the structure, as we do see a lost chapter to let us know that maybe something like a Ludens is coming through from the Lulu. It's going to be a bit more about the ability power, a bit more fake empowering when the team fights come.
Keen was trying to steal away a Crimson Bramble back, but was unable to. He's going to go over to Blankets. There's a Hemo Plague on the bottom side. Bang! In a whole host of trouble as Wolf can't make it in time. He gets a headbutt pole, but it's after the fact, and first blood on the bottom side. Bang, just dropping the ball.
Surprised they were able to get that off. Tucson didn't have a flash to try to reposition, but they get onto Bang, and we see full screen. Doesn't look too impressed with his decision. That wasn't the electrocute, Vlad, that surprised us from Sangyun. That was just phase rush. That was just Bang. Overstaying. Nicely done by Afreeca.
Yeah, aiming, just showing some proficiency as well on these unorthodox 8.11 picks. FLICKR making his way down, but he's just going to be able to clear out a control ward. Everything's fine for Afreeca Freecs' bottom side, and this really could save them, put them ahead. They already had 800 gold because of this, and now Needlessly Large Rod is going to be augmented by aiming. Really scary for SKT, who we thought had lane priority almost everywhere.
It's kind of the interesting thing of where we're at. It's top lane, we're going all in.
Yeah, another paranoia. Immediate flash comes in from Spirit. They'll easily grab this kill as Keen picks it up.
A tool too many though. The Shen ult in hindsight wasn't necessary, and that's a long cooldown down, but the kill, like you say, is going to be registered. And to get to some more macro points, which are, you really have to keep updating your expectations about where people get advantages now that we don't just have, hey, Caitlyn can push against this champion quite well because she has wave clear. It's a lot about what does Lulu, Alistar together provide, and how do Vladimir and Shen together try to repel that. We quickly identify they're going to have lane priority. That so far led to only a death, but now the turret starts to roll down, and here comes the backup.
Yeah, and remember, anyone gets knocked up, FLICKR's right here to get that last breath happening. They are going to clear out more vision, and the tower doesn't fall. Kuro makes his way in as now Susan gets the taunt, and that's just a dead FLICKR. The Yasuo exploded.
Focus damage is really surprising SKT. First Lulu, now FLICKR. SKT are feeling pressured after they lost that kill bot lane. They say, all right, we picked this duo for priority and to keep you in check. The death wasn't on the script. Also losing a second death, trying to all in to get this turret. Speaking of deaths, though.
Yep, that is looking like a very dead Shen as Blank going to be able to help out here. Tucson uses the flash, but the ignite is ticking down. Oh, no, Wild Growth just doesn't quite do it as now Spirit makes his way. Look at the damage coming down from the Nocturne and the Vlad. Aiming should be able to set something up here as Crimson Rush will be coming up relatively soon. Another Paranoia, and that's going to be the Umber Braids to help taking down Wolf as well. Spirit gets in here. They're going to give one over to Kuro. Hopefully, Distortion's going to be there. He flashes. The last turret shot, not enough.
20 HP after all of that. The turret cut. Oh, a minion does it. Good job, minion. Got the Mimic down. Whew. And how about some more fighting, Atlas? No water for you. Keep talking.
Yeah, Tal's in a whole host of trouble up here on the top side as Kane. He's got that passive available as well. He's probably happy to dive. The ult giving him a lot of range, but now FLICKR, he's moving his way up. Keen, does he want to just take this fight because Tal's dealing with minions? Not entirely sure, but he does get himself out. Keen makes his way under the turret. Afreeca Freecs looking phenomenal at the moment.
See, Atlas, you play-by-play cast, you wanted more action, but then you thought you could have a sip of water. No, the action never stops. In LCK, summer 2018, looking over the replay of this particular play, note where this goes wrong. Is that Tucson Fashion, that's a waste. They ult Alistar, thinking he's going to be in range of the slowing field just to kill the damn Shen. Shen dies anyway, and then Spirit walks in, no ultimate. Everyone's low, and suddenly it looks like a Nocturne. It might as well be a Katarina. The ultimate comes up. They know they're going to be able to continue to power people down. The turret dive, they decided to give it just to the LeBlanc, and it wasn't the cleanest. We decided to censor that one. Don't worry, guys.
Yeah.
Back into live. A turret is taken down. It is SKT in the bot lane. But overall, it seemed like an inevitability when we saw Lulu Alistar versus Vladimir and Shen that the turret would go down. And then a kill came on to bang, and we said, all right, they can still stay the landing, but then they mess up again with first FLICKR dying and overextending, trying to get that turret, and the better part of 6 kills have come from the lane where SKT picked power.
Well, now we'll have to see what Afreeca Freecs can do with the money that they've accrued and whether SKT can utilize the map advantage that they picked up by grabbing that first turret. See whether they can do something with that. Now the Dragon at least being leashed here by SKT as Fake is going to make his way down, and Wolf waiting in the wings to see whether a fight can be baited in. We know Spirit really does love to do battle.
Paranoia's up.
Yeah, he does have the opportunity to do it, yeah. Wolf sitting on a pink ward, knows exactly what's going on, but no, not going to be able to get the pulverize on
Vladimir coming from the bot side.
Yeah, Disengage is going to come in, and Aiming holds onto the Hemoplague. They're just going to releash the Dragon. Pick that one up for the Afreeca Freecs. FLICKR is trying to get in there. Oh my goodness, the ultimate into the backline, but is it going to be enough here for SKT to win this fight? Because Spirit is doing so much work. He picks up a kill, picks up the Dragon, make that a double, and now Wolf is just going to be mincemeat, trying to flash, but that's the Dustbringer, and he picks up his triple.
We've been waiting to see the Spirit Nocturne for so long, and boy does it deliver. Almost 100% kill participation. The wombo potential was from both sides. The moment FLICKR hits this Q, you wonder, will he take it? The answer is yes. After the Drake is down, they started with the combo. They have the knock-up duo, but enter Nocturne. Goodbye health bars. Goodbye SK Telecom T1.
Yeah, just ridiculous. And I feel like it might have been a slight misclick potentially, because I felt like Aiming could have been the target.
The Shen W also being in that fight. Surprising thing, doesn't require any itemization, but the damage output wasn't titanic like it looked like with the earlier Wombo from first to last breath into the follow-up knock-up headbutt pulverize from the Alistair, and instead Nocturne resets aplenty. He's 4-0-4. The Duskblade is bought straight up Atlas, and someone's going to be straight up dead next time he presses the R button.
That's Warrior Duskblade at not even 15 minutes into this game on a jungler. 4-0-4 with 9 kills on the board for the Afreeca Freecs. This is turning into a nightmare game for SKT. We were complimenting Como. We said that this draft looked smart, looked sneaky, looked cool. But
you said nice things about the side of SKT, and I agree, the draft was a crafty one. We weren't saying that they out-drafted Afreeca by any means.
Not necessarily.
They had some good options around mid, just because Skarner had some good lanes, and they had some good priorities. But just like we learned from the side of Kingzone, in this meta especially, you make some mistakes in the early games, your priority is quickly turned into just snowball gold onto the enemy, and whatever crafty moves you made, the fallback patterns. And remember, if you think about SKT historically, they have always been fallback win, stabilize win.
Yeah.
That's not there when you don't have a ranged AD carry, where team fights are so different, where expectations of what Bang does is not skating around on Lucian winning games. It's the Lulu trying to mostly empower FLICKR. The game has changed, and the fallback patterns, they're not there.
Yeah, it's going to be the Luden's Echo into the Ardent Sensor by the looks of things here for Bang, like you were talking about, so very much that supportive build. Bang feeling like it's opposite day, because normally they build that item for him. It's going to be the other way around, though, as Keen. He's going to pick up his position on the bottom side. He's got a Titanic Hydra. We'll see whether he goes for the Rage Blade next. The Phantom hit working out pretty fantastically on the Aatrox for the extra damage with his W, as well as that Titanic Hydra that he's picked up already.
Could consider a Randuin's, though, and just go for an Aura, because his mate Nocturne is going to be doing plenty of damage as well.
Very true.
There certainly is no damage problems when everybody on Afreeca is having a go, and the taunts
haven't you
could
read
also be on point.
Reddit? Phantom hit, Papa Smithy. That's what you need.
I mean, it's really good onto the Nocturne, onto most champions. I was particularly referencing the Aatrox, but fine on basically any champion.
Good on Nocturne as well, actually. Umbra Blades. Get that healing.
Turn revealed. Won't be able to find a sneaky ult in the bot side. Looking at the damage numbers so far, you can see it's been a team effort. Ironically, LeBlanc left in the dust a little bit when it comes to the side of Afreeca.
Yep. But same as FLICKR, actually, everything working out very similarly, apart from the jungle top lane for Afreeca Freecs really trumping their opponents.
That's something that SKT fans were hoping they would not hear so much in the 2018 summer season. Only one game, only even half of a game, 17 minutes into game number 1. Everything Afreeca has touched has turned to gold this game. We're just waiting for that blood-curdling paranoia to know that the fighting will continue.
Yeah, normally it is scary. This time it's terrifying for SKT. Bang just clears out the rest of these minions, and SKT working out where they're supposed to be on the map at this point, because it all just feels very dark and scary.
They don't bridge very well from here either. FLICKR has his first item, which is the Phantom Dancer, but of course the reason we don't see any crit marksmen or any crit champions really outside of Yasuo is Infinity Edge both builds pretty poorly and inefficiently 2 BF swords into an expensive recipe, and takes a long time to complete, where the games have ended pretty early. Shelly doesn't even have to charge with the first turret. Speaking of charge.
Yep, Tal's going to flash out of the way underneath the turret. The Stand United was there, so it's very intelligent summoner spell use, and now SKT trying to start a fight on the bottom side of the map, giving the man advantage.
But they are able to pick up the Rift Herald and deny any charge from it. It was a bit distracted by the minions for a little while, and SKT able to keep them away. They'll get a turret bot site anyway, so not the huge cost to the play. But obviously feel bad when you don't get a big charge in from the Rift Herald.
Yeah, and I feel like that might have been a mistake from Spirit, just because he didn't understand the amount of damage he was going to do to that turret. I feel like Shelly was going to be used to take down that outer, but just he killed it too fast. Certainly is a first world problem.
It's also the LCK summer 8.11 story of everything dies so damn fast.
Yeah, exactly.
Turrets, champions, the early game is just full of gold, especially if you're piling on the kills.
And could it be, Papa Smithy, that now that the Ardent Sensor is completed, that SKT can go for one of these Wolf flash pulverize plays with FLICKR able to get onto a few members with the last breath and go off with the auto attacks and the Steel Tempests.
Well, considering that the counterpoint is to watch the enemy team just snowball away, then and they don't really have another option, but it's from a gold deficit. I think picks kind of have to be the way they play the game. They still have Darius Yasuo to play a 1-3-1, and Lulu, Alistair, and Skarner can just be safe in another lane. They do have options on how to play the map. The Rage Blade not yet complete, so Kane isn't necessarily unsaleable in a side lane. The grouped play is the fastest way to get a nice injection of gold, but also the fastest way perhaps for the game to end, Atlas. So it is kind of a risky duality they're playing from here, and perhaps they'll just take the ability to start playing side lanes, try to find a couple of BF swords for FLICKR, and then reevaluate.
Well, if you're talking about a couple of BF swords, and aiming is an AD carry, so normally they'd be BF swords, but they're needlessly large rods this time. He's going for second item, Rabadon's Death Cap, just foregoing his Shurelya's Revelry completely for a whole bunch of damage and a bit of extra movement speed.
And the cheeky bugger, he's actually gone for Gathering Storm in this meta. I saw the proc at 20 minutes, Atlas.
Oh my goodness.
I know. Yesterday we had no one taking Gathering Storm. I'm surprised Vladimir decided to try that.
Yeah, I mean, I forgot to even look out for the proc.
I saw it. I saw it with my own two eyes.
How dare you aiming, taking the Gathering Storm.
Well, it's going to work pretty well with his Death Cap Spellbinder for just 700 AP out of nowhere if he gets the full procs.
Yeah. Oh my god, yeah, it's just going to be so much damage from aiming as Wolf takes a bit of a combo from Kuro, gets electrocuted there as well. But the 1-3-1 is in effect. FLICKR was up towards the top side, and we do have Tal on the bottom, but Afreeca Freecs just controlling every other area.
But now we have awkward item timings where completed Trinity Force is met with completed Titanic Hydra and Rage Blade.
Was the Rage Blade built outright by King?
No, he had half of it, and that's where I'm like, maybe they could play side lanes, and then the half of it got completed a little bit earlier than I expected, and now Darius is there for a pentakill, but not really there for a side lane. Right.
And the enemy team's
clean up Darius showed up, sadly. That's all they've
okay, that's what you mean. I thought you meant he was there so that Afreeca Freecs could get a pentakill.
Yeah, that's possible too.
Because I feel like with Keen having these two items completed, you're talking about item timings. Rabadon's Death Cap is just done. Oh, Tusin's, one step away from his banner of command as well. Rest in peace.
This is definitely. You know how you're a big man who loves his Trinity Force power spike, his Corki power spikes. This is the team-wide Corki power spike for Afreeca, if I want to translate it to you, Atlas.
Yep, okay,
so,
thank you.
This is where you really run away at every opportunity.
Power spike, power spike, power spike.
Couldn't really be any stronger at 21 minutes than Spellbinder Death Cap and 2-item Aatrox as well.
Now all we need is Kuro to complete his next item, and it could be a Void Staff that he's going for there.
Could be.
Might also be just a Morellonomicon, something like that, but whenever I see a book and a stick like that, just assume that it is going to be the Void Staff. Spirit moving on up into the mid lane here, but Kuro just cleans out the top lane wave. We've got Keen all the way on the bottom side. We're not looking for any fights for Afreeca Freecs. They're just gathering vision, moving themselves towards this Baron, in and out of Fog of War.
Get a bit meta now and talk about again, what Afreeca don't have. There is no ranged AD carry in this game. Easy objectives with these sort of comps, they're fine. It's the harder objectives. Inner turrets, inhibitors. Actually pushing gets a lot harder when your ranged damage dealers are a little bit more one-dimensional than AD carries. So, as you've noticed, the game has stalled a bit. Speaking of game stalling.
Yeah, SKT thinks that they found a target though, but in goes the paranoia. You can see Spirit almost 3 hits the Lulu on the backline, and he gets speared. That is a very, very dead AD carry position player, theoretically, but there's Keen getting the solo kill on the bottom side, and that is going to be the ace completed for the Afreeca Freecs. Just decimation, and SKT looked like they were asking for it.
They invited it in many ways. They finally found the way to move their place forward. Make the Shen look tasty was the way they needed to go. Shen got turned on, in came Paranoia. He almost one-shot the Lulu. On the other side, they did one-shot the Yasuo. Baron, inhibitor turret, inhibitor, everything bar the kitchen sink. Beautifully done by Afreeca.
Yeah, Afreeca, this is looking like 2017, win game 1 in extraordinarily destructive fashion.
Tusin baited this so hard by just walking up. He's like, I would like to take this Spire and the enemy. I wonder if you're here. They were definitely there, but the big bad wolf was behind this very conspicuous face check. And that was the Nocturne, and then all the cleanup from Afreeca.
I'm still giggling about the almost two-shot onto Bang. That was like 2 auto attacks. Or maybe auto Duskbring, I think. Maybe that was all it was, and the damage from the ultimate. But my god, that was some burst.
It's a 15,000 gold lead, because that's the meta we live in, baby.
Well, this is not what we wanted from SKT if you're an SKT fan.
Can't stabilize in this meta. There is no stabilization.
Yeah.
You don't have the comps for it. It's not the meta for it in terms of snowball gold. Everything is about the aggressive advantage. It's always going to be an invader's advantage in this particular meta. And the moment we saw Nocturne ult a level 5 Skarner on site, we knew that Afreeca was feeling it. And from there, everything about their playbook has been aggressive, crisp, and some great interviews with Afreeca in the offseason that basically confirmed what we had heard, the whispers of why Afreeca was succeeding so much, which is Afreeca play more scrim blocks than anyone else. They don't play solo queue, they play extra scrims. They look like they're ready for 8-11.
Yeah. And also, Ilavuv, when he made his way into the team, you had a feeling that something was going to go well as Tal. Oh, so close, but Bang, having to use the wild growth is very scary. Spirit, well, there is no point where you see him and you feel like things are going to be okay. And Afreeca Freecs use that intimidation to take down the inhibitor turret on the top side of the map. And now it's just the inner and inhibitor turret in the mid lane until they get up to these Nexus turrets. Looks like Afreeca just going to try and win the game, potentially. Look at this banded up Baron minion just almost tearing apart the Nexus turret completely. SKT all the way back as Spirit. He's taking down turrets, but remember, he can be in this fight in an instant if it is going to start from SKT. They have 1 turret left on the map.
Afreeca are making Fiesta look like it's been completely scripted from moment 1. They look so practiced on patch 8.11. They couldn't go over to Europe and represent Korea, but they want to be in Korea to represent their region at Worlds.
And remember, they were the second closest team to getting there as well. The Afreeca Freecs, a lot of domination last season, and it looks like they've continued it. Moving into summer, the Nexus is now exposed. It's a few autos from Keen, honestly, but I feel like they just want to use all of their buttons and clean up SKT one last time while the minions take care of the Nexus. They're diving onto the fountain and taking themselves to game 2 match point.
Someone has to look the best, and if it's a 1-game sample size, it's certainly the Afreeca Freecs. Beautiful performance against SKT, and SKT didn't do that much wrong in this game, Atlas, but if you make the mistakes at the critical junctures, which were some of those early game decisions, the first kills came onto the Nocturne, a triple later, Afreeca were able to close the game oh so cleanly. No one is elated, no one is celebrating. They know there's still a job to be done, and that's not just about today, that's the season for Afreeca Freecs.
Yeah, but man, I mean, that sort of level-headedness after a victory to start the season as well just shows exactly what the Afreeca Freecs have been doing, the regime that they've been under as far as practice is concerned. They look like a machine heading into that game, unfazed about the last-minute swap between the Yasuo and the Lulu. Thought they had their lanes figured out. It was different, didn't matter at all. God, Spirit's Nocturne was out of control. We've been excited about this for as long as we can remember.
So many people have tuned in to see what a retooled SKT can look like after an extended break. We got treated to what a retooled Afreeca Freecs can look like after they got a similar length of break.
And they look damn good. And it's not Kramer on the roster this time, it's Aiming, who might have the young man's flexibility into these new roles.
It's the roster they couldn't play when honestly they may have wanted to as we approach the final last season.
And it might have changed things. Maybe it wasn't Varus versus Kai'Sa every single game in the final if it was Aiming playing for the squad. Can't really ask about things that have already been locked up in history, but it does beg the question. Guys, these damage numbers, indicative of a team that just steamrolled.
4 players did more than the most from SKT. That is how much domination there is. We talked all about the Nocturne. Meanwhile, Aatrox having a field day in the top side. Maybe we need to reevaluate that matchup. Looking pretty damn pimp for the Aatrox.
Oh, hell yeah. It's still 20,000 gold lead, 26-minute finish. These games are not letting up. They've been fast and furious every time we've hit the Rift today. And does that mean that SKT, they can be the team to get the early start in game number 2? Or is it going to be the Afreeca Freecs again?
The season's not written in best of ones, but that was an impressive one.
Oh, damn right it was. Guys, we are going to have a short break, but when we get back, game number 2 of Afreeca Freecs versus SKT.